So, you want to own a wedding venue. On paper, it's the easiest business alive. Find a beautiful property, fix it up, then wait. Couples show up, hand you a check for more than most people make in a month, and leave a few hours later. No inventory to restock, no product to ship. You just rent out a room that already exists. Here's the strange part. This is one of the most emotionally rewarding businesses you can start, and one of the most quietly brutal ones financially. Venues with wait lists file for bankruptcy. Venues that look like money machines close overnight and keep the deposits. By the end of this video, you'll know what it really costs to open one of these places, how the money actually works past the rental fee, and why an industry that looks bulletproof eats so many of the people who go into it optimistic. Start with the price of admission. A rundown barn and land package can run anywhere from $300,000 to over $1.5 million before you've hung a single string light. And that's before renovation, which typically adds another $100,000 to $300,000. Rewiring, bathrooms, a bridal suite, insulation for 4 seasons. Most people opening a venue from scratch are staring down $300,000 to $1.5 million all in, and full-scale operations blow past $2 million once you add tenting, parking, and a cash cushion for the slow months before bookings ramp up. Then there's the cost nobody warns you about: zoning. A property can look perfect and still be sitting on land never zoned for commercial events. Fire exits, a commercial septic system, ADA access not optional. People budget for the barn, they don't budget for the county. So say you clear all that. Now, how does the money actually work? Naive version. You charge a rental fee, couples pay it, you keep the difference. And that's real. The average American wedding runs about $34,200, with roughly $12,200 of it going to the venue alone. A venue doing 40 to 50 events a year can pull in real annual revenue in the hundreds of thousands. But the rental fee is only the visible part of the business. The real money lives in what happens after the couple signs the contract and gets handed a folder. That folder is the preferred vendor list. Here's what almost no couple realizes. Most of those vendors aren't on it because they're the best in town. They're on it because they kick back a cut of every booking to the venue. Some venues charge vendors 10%. Luxury venues charge as much as 40%. One documented contract charged a 5% facility fee just for hiring outside the list, and 30% for the privilege of being exclusive. The vendors don't eat that cost, they build it into your price. You never see the line item. You just pay more for the same photographer and get nothing extra for it. Bundle in catering and alcohol. Over a third of couples have both baked into the venue fee, and the shape of the business becomes clear. The venue isn't renting you a room. It's the toll booth for almost every other dollar spent on the wedding. That's the hidden mechanism. Here's why it still doesn't save most venues. A wedding venue can only sell so many Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays a year. Miss a season, lose a few weekends to weather, and there's no way to make that inventory back. You can't sell Last Saturday twice. Take Oheka Castle on Long Island, one of the most photographed venues in the country. In August 2025, it filed Chapter 11, reporting $57.27 in its checking account against $63.5 million in debt, while still hosting weddings that were already booked. Or take Circle B, a wedding barn in Isanti, Minnesota. It closed abruptly with no refunds. At least 5 couples sued over deposits from $5,600 to over $9,000, some finding out weeks before their date. It's not an isolated pattern. Venues from North Carolina to elsewhere have gone the same way. Full calendars, sudden collapse, couples out tens of thousands of dollars months before their ceremony. None of these were failing to attract customers. The problem was structural. Heavy fixed debt from a 6-figure build-out, revenue that only arrives in short seasonal bursts, and a habit of spending this year's deposits instead of holding them for a wedding 18 months out. When the cash runs dry, there's no inventory to liquidate. The building doesn't pay its own mortgage. Only Saturdays do. So here's the reframe. A wedding venue isn't really selling square footage. It's selling access to roughly 100 bookable days a year. and to who a couple is permitted to hire once they walk through the door. Every dollar flows through one of those two choke points, which is exactly why the business is so fragile. Build something entirely around scarcity and gatekeeping, and one bad season or one over-leveraged renovation can turn a fully booked venue into a bankruptcy filing overnight. Now the numbers. 3 ways. Small rural barn, $400,000 to start. 30 weddings at $12,000 each is $360,000 in revenue. At a 20% margin, that's $72,000 a year. Payback in about 5.5 years, if nothing goes wrong. Mid-size venue, with bundled catering and alcohol, $900,000 to start. 50 weddings at $15,000 average is $750,000 in revenue. At up to 60% margin, that's $225,000 to $300,000 a year payback. In 3 to 4 years, if you don't spend next year's deposits on this year's bills. Premium full-service estate, $1.5 million plus to start. Revenue that can exceed $1 million a year once you're capturing catering, alcohol, and vendor fees on every event. The upside is real. So is the downside. This is the exact profile of the venues that collapsed with tens of millions in debt because bigger mortgages don't care whether June was a good month. So you want to own a wedding venue. You're not buying a barn or a ballroom or a view. You're buying a gate and betting your entire startup cost on being able to charge admission through it roughly 100 days a year without ever letting the calendar, the cash flow, or the county beat you to it first.